Previously on Storytime Edition.
When I opened the door, they're like, "Welcome back." I'm like, "Wait, what?" And the house was decorated and it was written, "Welcome back." And there was a cake on the table. I was like, wow, God, if this is the change I'm finding in my home, then I am here for it. After church, I was now ready to at least go and relax. But then, just when I was almost going to relax,
be good to me. I'll be good. Promise me you'll.
my mom received a phone call that my extended family, my uncles, my aunts, and my cousins, some of course, were going to come over to our house so that they can just welcome me back home and celebrate the fact that I am home after 3 years. And so, after running a few errands in town because we had some errands to run, we rushed home. And guys, it was such an amazing feeling just seeing how I had left my cousins when they were so small. You know, they were babies, and then now I come and I meet them, and they're, you know, they're talking. It was a beautiful feeling. It was such a good thing. So we cut the cake, and we had so much fun just talking as a family and relaxing, you know, just catching up on how is Cuba. And I told them about the reality of how Cuba was because, like I said, most people, including myself, when I came here, I thought that Cuba was this, you know, maju. In Swahili, we say maju, you know, menda maju. That means that you've gone to a place that's better than your country, you know, the likes of the first world countries. But then you come here and then you realize, oh, it's not actually what I thought it was. So I told them about the reality of things and how tough things had been. If you followed my journey, you know how things were. So I just shared with them like the reality of how things were. I was not going to filter anything, you know. I just wanted them to know that, yo, guys, it was not easy, but also I just thank God. I also wanted them to see just God's faithfulness in all this because in as much as it was not easy, well, God had kept me together with all the other students who are here. So I mean, so we enjoyed, and after eating, of course, where there is no food, it's not a gathering. What's that even? What's that even? And if it's a celebration, there must be cake. What's a celebration without cake and food? Nothing. So we ate the cake, we enjoyed, and just had an amazing time. And after that, they left, and now we were left, and my cousin and I were talking, and we, you know, like we just had I just had so much fun that time. So that was it about meeting my extended family. So around, let's say, 2 days or 3 days afterwards, you know, now I've kind of acclimatized to Kenya and how things are. You know, I've caught up with all the politics and everything that was basically going on in Kenya at that time. And then my mom was like, okay, so now here's your schedule. You're going to visit your grandmother, your maternal grandmother, and she lives like west, to the west of the country. You know, that means I have to go to the village. So you have from, I had from July all the way to almost September, around September, let's say the 8th of September or 11th, I can't remember. So my mom had a schedule and she was like, these 2 weeks you're going to visit your maternal grandmother. These 3 weeks you're going, I don't know, to visit your paternal who. These 4 weeks you're going to stay, I don't know where. This whatever, you're going to be here. And I remember I looked at my mom and I was like, I'm sorry, what? What are you saying? And my dad laughed. My dad was like, did you just make a schedule for her on the places she has to visit while she's going to be here in Kenya for her vacations? And my mom is like, yeah, you know, she's got time. So 1 month here, then the other month she's going to go to her grandparents' house and, you know, paternal and maternal and her aunt's places. And my dad was just like, do you realize that when this child left here, she was 18 years old. She had just turned 18 years old. And now she has come back and she's 21 years old. That means this is an adult. This is not the young girl that you left at the airport back in 2018. This is not that young girl like you used to make her schedules, or when she closes school you'd be like, okay, it's April holiday, you've got 4 weeks, 2 weeks at your grandmother's place, and then the other 2 weeks I don't know where. This is not that young. You're not dealing with a young girl anymore. You're dealing with an adult. So she has the right to make whatever decisions she wants. And I remember I was like, Dad, go you, go you, because I was like, why is my mom making a schedule for me as to where I was going to go? And I had my own plans. I've got my own friends to see, I've got people to see. I really didn't also want to go to the village. I mean, it's not pride, it's just like, can my grandmother come to the city instead of me going to the village? So after we discussed that, and I told my mom I'm not going to be following that schedule. I'm just going to go like visit my grandparents for a certain period of time, and after that I'm going to also this other grandmother of mine on this other side, like both my grandparents, that is on the west and the one who is in the central, basically. And after that, that's it. Like me, I'm living my life, I'm enjoying my life the way I want to. My work will be sleeping, chilling, having fun, and eating. Most important thing. So as soon as we had that cleared out and sorted out, I now had to meet my friends, and I went and we had like a whole beautiful thing with my friends. Like it had been so long since we met. So I have like a group of friends, so we just met one time, and that, what is it called? It covered everything. Yeah, instead of visiting one person each day, it's just like, let's just meet as a group, and then we're done with that. So I visited my friends, and of course the rest of the vacations was spent visiting my friends, chilling in the house, mostly just relaxing, having some alone time. I was mostly indoors, by the way. There was nothing that I can say that was like, oh my goodness, no. I was just either with my family, alone, or just doing nothing, just relaxing and just chilling and just getting fat and taking in the fact that, you know what, my time is limited, so let me maximize it the best way I know how to, and that is by sleeping, just normal stuff that you do, normal stuff. So the problem now came when, remember, I've been in Cuba, and the mode of dressing in Cuba is way different from how we dress back in Kenya, in the sense that here in Cuba, even if like a girl puts on a booty short or whatever thing, crop tops, like crop, the way they crop the crop, there are crop tops, and then they're like crops of crop tops, if you know what I mean. So even if you put that on, it's not a big deal. It's nothing at all. It's nothing. Like if you put on a booty short, that's nothing. If you put on something short or skimpy, honestly, it's no big deal. That's Cuba. You don't get catcalled, you don't, nothing. It's like, you're just a normal human being who's just dressed up. But in my country, when you dress up like in a certain manner, let me say that, if you dress up in a certain manner, first and foremost, catcalls everywhere, left, right, and center. Secondly, of course, there are people who are going to bash you, be it women or men. They're going to bash you and be like, hey, have some respect, yeah, blah blah blah. So when I went back home, I remember I used to dress up like the way I was dressing in Cuba. Well, not the crops of crop tops or like booty shorts, but like short dresses, short skirts, because for me it's just like, it's nothing. It's nothing, and I'm already accustomed to it. It took me time, yes, to adapt to like that mode of dressing, but then once I adapted to it, I was like, well, I totally get it. Plus here it's hot. So I went back to my country, and then I started dressing up like that. Hey, my goodness. I told you guys where I live. Not in the city, not in the whatever, wherever I live. And people will just look at me like, huh? So you've gone Maju, eh? You've gone to the diaspora, and now you're coming back with the diaspora things. Dressing up, I don't know, in short skirts and short dresses. And let me tell you guys, even the short skirts and the short dresses, they're not even short. They're not Cuban type of short. They're just normal short, mid-thigh. That's not short, that's normal type of short. But yo, my guys, you know the men. Hey, 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 mrembo. Then there were others when I was passing. It's just like, so you want to show us your thighs? Why? So you, I don't know what. I'm just like, I am so innocent. It's just because I'm so accustomed to it that it doesn't hit you at first. You know, it's not like you've been there for 3 years. There's some things that you've adopted and they're already in your system. So for you to get out of them, it's, I don't know, it's sort of hard. So I was there and I'm just like, guys, what's happening? And that's when now I had to give myself a reality check. Plus my mom also was like, hey, you know what, I understand that in Cuba you dress however you want and that's okay, but here I feel like you should not, I feel like I'd love for you to just dress up. I know back there I'm like mid-thigh skirts and dresses or summer dresses, that's not a big deal. But where we live, it's not such a, it's not that community that is so accepting of, you know, you can now dress up in short things because they're old men, I don't know what, you know, all those reasons, my dear Africans. So I had to slowly by slowly shift to, instead of putting on dresses, just put on like trousers, which I was putting on sweatpants, and I went back to putting on my normal baggy t-shirts and sweatpants. Ja, that was it. So that was something that was very hard to adapt. Like the dressing was something that I needed a reality check on it. And also aside from that, something else that I had to adapt was also shopping. So let me tell you guys, this is what happens. Here in Cuba, if you followed my story, but let me just repeat it so that you can understand. Here in Cuba, when they say that we have a scarcity mentality, let me just say that. We have a scarcity mentality. And this is the reason I say that. Because sometimes there you don't find the normal stuff. Toilet papers, soaps, shampoos, conditioners. So whenever you go to a shop that has that, or you hear, like when I was back in Elam, they'd always announce and be like, so today in the shop we're going to have yogurt, we're going to have biscuits, we're going to have toilet paper, and we're going to have shampoo. So that means when you're going to that shop, like that day there's a long queue of people because we all want to buy those products. But the problem is, unlike Kenya where you can buy the way you want, here in Cuba, there's a limitation. You only buy like a certain number. You can only buy, let's say, two rolls of tissue paper or something like that. So there's a limited number. So when I went back home, I had that mentality. Or even if it's not buying a limited number, sometimes you want to, like, if they allow you to shop as much as you want to take it all, you know, you want to just take it all. If you hear there is tissue or you find there is tissue in a certain place, in a certain supermarket here in Cuba, you want to just buy like 1,000 tissues and just keep them there for a rainy day, you know, like, because there are so many times that we suffered because we didn't have this, we didn't buy enough of this and enough of that. So whenever you go to a shop and you find that they have soap, shower gel, you want to buy like 10 or 15 shower gels so that they can just stay in your locker for a rainy day, because you know there's going to be a time whereby getting shower gel, getting toothpaste, getting whatever is going to be difficult. So we had that mentality of when you go somewhere, buy everything. So I went to Kenya. I went to the supermarket, let me tell you. And you know our supermarkets, the way they are full. I was walking in an aisle and I see, like, I'm told, just pick a snack, pick a snack. I want to pick like 10 or 15 bags of crisps because I'm like, Mom, it's going to finish. You know, it's going to finish. So let me just buy. And my mom is just looking at me like, my sister is just looking at me like, are you crazy? What do you mean it's going to finish? When you get to like like my personal stuff, I just want to take it all. Like, I want deodorant. I want to take like 50 because I'm like, Mom, let's buy. You know, we may come here tomorrow and then we find that there is no deodorant, and she's just like, woman, this is not Cuba. This is not Cuba. I used to go like to the market and you want to buy like 1,000,001 fruits because you're like, I don't know when I'm going to ever see apples again. So let me just buy them like one time and they just stay in the house. It's better for them to stay in the house and me waking up every day and seeing that, aha, here are apples, than me getting up and wanting to eat apples and they're not there, or I hear like there's a crisis. So that was also another mentality. I could not believe when I went to the supermarket like the first time. I could not believe that supermarkets could be full. Like you walk in aisles and they're just full and people are just, they're not picking stuff, they're like, I don't feel like eating that today, I'll eat that. I'm like, what? Take everything! Because that was my mentality. I was just like, I want to have it all. I want to have it all. Because I don't know what tomorrow or the next month, it may not be there. And I had to be reminded, you are in Kenya. It's okay that you've come from Cuba and they have their own systems, but you're in Kenya. Once you're in Kenya, act like a Kenyan. Please, we don't buy 1,000 rolls of tissue papers for what? You buy the one that's sufficient for you for like that month. If you do monthly shoppings or weekly shoppings, depending on how you shop, you just buy for the moment or for whatever type of shopping that you do. So that was also another mentality that I had to change. And guys, it was tough. It was tough, tea for tough to get out of that. But finally, I got accustomed. And by the time we were getting to August, mid-August, I was like, I don't want to buy that. I was also a Kenyan. I was officially back to a Kenyan and it was so lovely. So the last part is, here in Cuba, we speak Spanish. If you don't know now, you know. We speak Spanish. Hablamos español. And I had made a pact with myself and my other friends that when we go home, they're going to be calling us, like we're going to be calling each other on purpose. And then we don't speak English, we don't speak Swahili for my Kenyan friends, we speak Spanish. So there are times my friends will call me when I'm in like maybe in a family gathering or among my other friends. And we're just like, hola, ¿cómo estás? Estoy bien, ¿y tú? And let me tell you, you start speaking Spanish there and everyone is just like, wow, that's intriguing. But that was intentional. Intentional. We had said, hey, now that we know another language, oh, I have no hair to flip. We are going to shine. We are going to shine. And then, aside from just the calling and speaking Spanish, there are times whereby, when I'm maybe around my family and then my friends call, we start speaking maybe in Spanish and then some bit of English. Then we go into English and then when you don't want them to understand, you shift to Spanish. And you're like, what is the word? ¿Cuál es la palabra? ¿Cuál es la palabra? Oh yeah, going. Yeah, going. Yeah, see. Yeah, so yeah, we were going there. But you had not forgotten the word. You knew the word, but the fact that you have to look like you've learned some Spanish. Yeah, the language of love. Oh, French is the language of love, but Spanish also is very romantic. So we used to be like, but see, there are things that I don't know here. Pero me puedes ayudar? Because I don't understand. And my friends will be like, ooh, I like the way you're shifting languages. And in your head, you're like, stop, if only you knew, stop. That was a pact we had made by the time we were going back home. I was like, no, we have to shine in this language. And if the Cubans could hear us speaking the Spanish and the way this, like our Spanish is broken Spanish, we'll be so ashamed. But because you're speaking Spanish before people who don't know, you shine, baby, shine. And then also, whenever I was talking to just like my family, anyone back in Kenya, especially my family and my friends, whenever I'd talk to them, I'd always start like a sentence in Swahili or English, of course, or Sheng, whichever one. So I start, and then in the middle, I throw in an English word, a Spanish word, and then I pretend I don't even know the meaning, or I pretend, but they don't even know that I've spoken a Spanish word. So I just be there like, so ulikuwa nasemaje that, ¿qué podemos hacer? And they're like, I'm sorry, what have you said? Like, yeah, like, what do you want us to do? Porque personalmente, I'm just tired, nimechoka, so, ¿qué quieres? And they're like, huh? What are you saying? Please speak Swahili or speak English. I'm like, huh? So you don't know Spanish? You don't know Spanish? Hmm? And let me tell you, I took pride in that because my friends, I come from two tribes. I come from one tribe called the Luya, that's my mother's tribe, and one called Kikuyu. So I have friends from these two tribes, but mostly from Kikuyu, the Kikuyu tribe. So whenever they're around me, they used to start speaking Kikuyu. And they'd speak Kikuyu, and I'm just there floating because I don't want to say this is an excuse, but this has always been let me just say my excuse is that I grew up, having grown up in a bi-tribal home, Kikuyu and Luya. My parents had to find a common language, and that is English or Swahili, so that we can, mostly Swahili, so that we can be able to communicate. So sometimes my dad, yes, will try to speak to us in Kikuyu, and I understand like 1 to 3 words, like 1% of Kikuyu. On my mom's side, I understand like 0.5% of Luya. So my siblings and I, we've grown up just knowing Swahili and English and just a few words here and there, learning from my grandparents, etc. So that has always been my excuse of not learning my mother tongue, which, by the way, I'm planning to change. When I go to Kenya, I have to learn my mother tongue. I've understood the importance of languages, especially of your mother tongue. Now, whenever they'd start speaking Kikuyu, I'd always float because I don't know anything. And sometimes they're saying like really delicate matters, like really deep things. And you want to be part of the conversation, but you can't because I don't know the language. So I'd always wait for them to finish. Then we have to find a secure location so that they'd like tell me what the communication was all about or translate for me. So here I was with the opportunity to shine with Spanish. Bro, I'm going to take that opportunity. I shone like nobody's business. The mix, we call it the Swanglish. No, that's Swahili and English. Spanglish, yeah. The Spanglish and the Swanish, yeah, Swahili and Spanish. My guys, these people used to talk to me and my replies used to be like, Ati, umesemaje? Porque yo no te entiendo, but it's okay, just repeat what you have said. No hay problema. And they're like, what? What did you just say? I'm like, now you feel how I was feeling when you were speaking in Kikuyu and your mother tongue and I didn't used to understand. I am here with my Swanish and my Spanglish. Yeah. So guys, that was also another thing that I did, and it was so fun, by the way. It's actually fun. Like the Spanish and the Swanish, the Spanglish and the Swanish, especially as Kenyans here, whenever we meet, like you just hear English, Swahili, slang, Spanish. It's beautiful. It's a mashakura of languages, and it's beautiful. So my summer vacation was like that. Of course, those are the highs. There are lows that one day I'll be able to tell you guys. When the time is right, the Lord will make it happen. And in case I've forgotten anything and I remember, por supuesto, I am going to remind you guys. Huko mbele, you see what I did there? You see what I did there? Spanish, English, Swahili. Yeah, that's how it used to work. So, guys, thank you so much for keeping it here. We're still subscribing. So, keep on subscribing, keep on sharing the link, and keep on liking and leaving a comment. Until the next time, guys, it's been a pleasure. Kwaheri!